Hi folks, I'm Colin and this is part 3 of our Prusa Mark III build. You may recall in part 1 of the build I was slightly concerned about the sort of crustiness of the left-hand Z motor relative to the right-hand motor and rod, which spins freely. The left hand requires significant amounts of force to get it to turn. Now obviously you should be turning these at the same time, but the point is I can turn this and I can get the left hand will turn freely on its own just when this is turned. Something seems to be wrong there. And before we wire this thing up, before I potentially damage something, I attempted to get a hold of Prusa support. I first got, let's see here, what do I need to do? Go here and here, got this error message. This was, 5 minutes ago. Then got this error message, and if we reload, let's see if their farm is up again. No. Okay, so they've got some sort of an SQL problem and database problem, which is fine. I'm sure it's not a conspiracy, but it's frustrating because I'm really not sure what to make of this difference in the steppers. Now, no power has been applied to this. The electronics are still in. Hang on, let's switch cameras here. The electronics are still in the box, and I don't know what to make of this. It's extremely tough to turn. Now, I thought about the little Z cap. I thought maybe it was on too far, so loosen that up. It's still extremely tough to turn. I can't get even a couple of millimeters of vertical on this thing. So I figured I would turn to comments and see what people had to say. Vince, make sure the black cap isn't too tight. No, it's definitely not too tight. It's got, I don't know, 6 millimeters clearance. It's not contacting the motor housing in any way. Yeah, well, that was my next move. I was going to take the X carriage off. I wanted to do it on video, though, because I wanted to be sure that since I can't get a hold of Prusa support, I want them to be able to see what's going on. So I did actually assemble the extruder in part 2, towards the end of part 1 and the beginning of part 2, not being as concerned about the Z motor arrangement as I am now, just having thought about it a little bit. Part of that is the assembly here. Let's see if I can spin this around. That includes the, no, that's not going to do it. Let me switch views for myself here so I can see what I'm looking at. The assembly here of the plastic piece that's supposed to add support for the wiring. Question is, can I remove the Z carriage without disassembling the extruder? And the answer is I have no idea. I think I'm going to try that first rather than go in and disassemble the extruder, unless, Vince, you can tell me that that's the wrong way to go about it. Yeah, I was going to take the carriage off and pull the smooth rods and just see if the spindle itself is okay. The motor is sane. So let us begin. First, we take off our rod toppers. One. There we go. And remove the smooth rod. Okay, that smooth rod on the left required quite a bit more force than smooth rod on the right. There's still something very chewy about that. Okay. Slide the smooth rod on the right out. And let's see. It's still very tough. Yeah, there's a definite difference here. Oh yeah, there's a definite difference here just in the... Although... Oh, I guess I would be able to remove the Z carriage because it's not quite going to get to the... That's either really lucky or a really good design. I'm not sure which. Or maybe not. No, you can't actually remove the Z carriage. Oh, that's really irritating. You have to disassemble the... Really? You have to disassemble the back of the extruder in order to remove the Z carriage? Man. All right. Yeah, there's a definite difference in the... Well, it's less pronounced. It's definitely there. Let me put the rod back and see if... there's a bearing alignment issue or something. Okay, now it goes in. It's in. I guess I should put both in just for consistency. Yeah, there's something to this. Either I ended up with a bent rod or a bent lead screw. I don't know which. Guess we can find out by swapping the rods and seeing if the problem follows the rod or the lead screw. The problem seems to be following. Ah, wow. So I got to go all the way to the top to remove that rod. This thing, I can barely get it to. If there is a bend there, it's minimal. All right, so let's swap the rods and see if it's a rod problem. Yeah, the further down I get on the left here, it's getting tighter and tighter. It does seem better having swapped the rods, but on the right there's no, no chewiness at all, even having swapped the rods. So and I still have this problem where I can barely slide the rod out on the right and it, on the left, and it easily comes out on the right. So there's something. Could it be the part? Do I need to reprint the rod holder maybe? Yes, I was very careful to alternate the bearings by 45 degrees. I was also very careful to have the bearings at top and bottom with a space in the middle as described in the manual. That was, I actually went back and redid that to do it, make sure it was done correctly. The thing is, let me go back to the top here so I can actually get this rod out. actually easier this way. We've not lost any balls in either bearings on either set of bearings on either side. So it's not that. And again, it's extremely difficult to get this thing slide. But notice that I can slide this without a problem. Well, let's see, how can we notice that? It's not the bearings themselves. The rod slides without issue. It's the alignment relative to the bottom holder. I mean, you can't misalign this. There are 3 screw holes. That's it. There's no misaligning this. Unless the part is the motor holder here, or Z rod holder, is pushed on too far, maybe? I don't know. Remove the left. Hang on, the comments are not showing. Check the steppers, make sure they are listed right and left. You think I put the wrong motor on the wrong side? They're identical except for the wiring length, and the distinction is the short wire goes to the left-hand stepper because it needs to go to the electronics, which are on the left-hand side. The longer wired motor goes on the right. So is that what you're asking? Hey John, we're trying to diagnose why the stepper on the left, the lead screw, is difficult to turn relative to the one on the right. And there seems to be something related to it doesn't follow the rod, so it's not a bent rod, smooth rod. It doesn't really, the impact when you remove the smooth rod is, it's still there. It's to a slightly lesser degree, but when you remove the smooth rod, you can still feel it to some degree. But the right-hand smooth rod does remove much more easily. Let me get back aligned here. There we go. Yeah, so you can still feel it. It's to a lesser degree, but you can still feel it. I wonder if I've got a bent shaft. I mean, I guess I could swap the motors just to test that. They were tightened down with the toppers earlier. We removed them for testing. No, I mean, so it's not a bearing problem. We established that. The bearings are fine. The alignment here is off by, you know, a couple, maybe 3 or 4 millimeters. I guess it's possible that the left-hand motor holder and rod holder is on too tight, I guess. I thought these things had stops in them so you couldn't slide them on too far. But we could certainly try loosening that, I guess. Keep the screw holding the X rods loose and try again. The rods holding the X. Okay, the X carriage rods, the horizontal rods, okay. You think they're not square? Could be. We've already discovered that once you've assembled the extruder, you have to disassemble the extruder in order to effectively remove the X carriage, which is why we haven't done it yet. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, I have not tightened the zip ties, which is really, really good. Because I'm going to have to undo this. So I guess the way we want to do this is first unwrap this. So we can effectively extract our wire holder. Now, in theory, I should be able to remove the wire harness here and probably remove the carriage that way. Let's try that first. Rather than having to disassemble the whole extruder assembly. Because really the wire harness is the only thing blocking the removal. Okay, wire harness is off. And this is something that I would hope that they would fix in a redesign to make that, I don't know, maybe that's as easy as it gets for removal. But we'll see. Do this? Come on, there we go. Okay. Not so easy. There we go. All right. That is very inelegant. I guess next time I'm going to have to remove the extruder. All right, so we want to test this for squareness, particularly on the left side. Do I have a square? I don't think I do. Well, we can... now this is irritating. I've got a black cutting mat and I've got the black hex wrenches that came with the Prusa, and I can't find my hex wrench that I was using moments ago. Come on, hex wrench. That is irritating. Here we go. All right, so loosen the motor mount, let the motor turn slightly in, and loosen the belt. No, I can't do that without disassembling the, well, I can loosen it anyway. I can't disconnect the belt without disassembling the extruder. Another less than optimal design element here. I mean, the extruder assembly looks beautiful. Visually, it's, you know, it's a beautiful design, but it does not make maintenance easy. All right, twist that in, loose the belt. I don't have a square. There are stops internally for this, right? On the bottom, presumably on the top. So I should be able to just push them in and this should be fine, right? Yeah, of course. And I'm not going to retighten the belt until I get it going. All right. Yeah, maybe I need to just remove the extruder. That's irritating. Very, very irritating. I guess it's worth trying this first. Yeah, okay, it is, the motor spins smoothly without the thing on it. All right, so it probably is just an alignment problem. Okay. No, it won't even grip. That was the thing, and you can see this. This was what I experienced in part 1 of this video. It won't even grab the lead screw. It's like the Delrin nut is not. Are the threads on it shot? Yeah, see, when I try to, whereas the other one picks up the nut no problem. All right, what have I got any other lead screw nuts to test with? I do not. Well, I've got the ones on here, on my AM8. Is it worth disassembling the AM8 to find out? Eh. I don't know. See, that's so here. Are we able to see this? Here, I've not yet engaged the lead screw, the threaded nut, and the lead screw moves smoothly. As soon as I attempt to engage this threaded nut, it just doesn't go. Yeah, there's something wrong with this nut. All right, let's, just as an experiment here, and I know this is really off the wall and odd, but let's try this other nut. Now I got to support this thing carefully because I don't really want to cause any damage, but I want to be sure it's the nut and not something else. Yeah, it's the nut. So here, can we see this? I really don't want to rearrange this thing to get a camera closer, but you can see what I'm testing here. I'm experimenting. I'm trying the other nut without, and I guess the way to do this correctly would be to actually swap the lead screw nuts. But now let's do that just as another step here. I think that's what's going on here. I think I've got a bad Delrin nut. I think it's not threaded right. I guess it's also possible that I've got two separate issues here. Because like I said, it did seem half fixed without the smooth rod. So there may be two issues at play here, which makes it that much more irritating to diagnose. So we've now swapped the nuts. So under this theory, the challenge might follow the nut. And it doesn't. Yeah, I can barely thread this thing onto the... Yeah, there's something... Yep. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so it's not the nut. So there's something wrong with the threading on the left side then. I mean, I don't see anything that's off there. Just a sanity check. Okay, right now this is the rod that went on the right. Now I did make a few adjustments just with the force of my compression on the x-axis. So let's see if I actually fixed it in my dicking around. I mean, there's still something going on with this lead screw. It was difficult to get it to thread. Now they're equally difficult. All right. And this rod is still very easy to work with, and this rod is still very difficult to work with. So but yeah, the right-hand side is now much tighter, having swapped the nuts. I wonder if I've got two issues. Well, I'm going to swap the nuts back because if there are two issues, I don't want them to be spread across to the left and right. Unless someone sees something wrong with my... All right, Vince. Have a good day. Thanks for stopping in. I imagine he's already gone by now, but... okay, so John, do you see anything wrong with my test procedure here? All right. Okay, so what we've done at this point is we removed the X carriage, we saw that the motor spun freely having been removed, so we assumed that there was just an alignment problem. We still find that the rod on the right is easily removable. The rod on the left requires significant force to remove it, which supports the alignment issue theory. There we go. the nature of the alignment appears to be front to back. So that's not an issue of squareness. Is it? I mean, the Delrin nut is on flush, so it's not angling it. So it's not angling it this way. And this is frustrating because I can't. Watching myself with the delay in order to look at comments is not the way to go. Okay, there we go. Only the problem side. Okay. First we need to unthread, which, all right, let's remove our rods. So I am, just to be clear, I am able to thread it with a lot of effort and a lot of coaxing. But I mean, that's not normal. Okay. So we're going to attempt to thread only the left side. It works. I mean, you can do it, but it still requires huge amounts of force to turn this thing. Even okay, so here's our example of only the left side threaded. I'm supporting the right side with my hand, making sure that it's perpendicular, as it should be. Or at least perpendicular to the threaded rod. And it still requires a significant amount of force relative to the right-hand side. So there's something definitely off about this. Could be the nut. No, it couldn't be the nut because I haven't swapped them back yet. No, I've not swapped them. I've not swapped the nuts back yet. This is the known good nut with the unknown or questionable smooth rod. No, I'm not smooth rod. Wow. Okay, this is the known good nut that I swapped from the right-hand side with the problematic lead screw. And it's still very tough to yeah, very tough to go. And of course, you know, without it, it spins perfectly reasonably. There's not good video of this. Let's see if we go like this. are we seeing? Okay, so without this, it spins freely as you'd expect. But when you thread just the left-hand side, now note that with my right hand I'm supporting this perpendicular to the smooth rod as it should be. It's significantly more difficult to get it. I mean, it's not. Am I doing this? I'm not doing this the wrong way. It's just not threading. There we go. All right. That's okay. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, see, there we go. Okay, so it threads. But yeah, it's significantly more difficult than it should be. I mean, relative to the right-hand one, which of course spins freely as it should, I think there's something wrong with this threaded rod. It's too bad they're not separate from the motor so that we could actually test that. I guess the next step is to swap the motors just for experimentation's sake and make sure that this problem follows the lead screw. Unless you see another avenue of experimentation. Switching the two motors, right, okay. Yeah, okay. We're on the same page. Okay. Yeah, all right. Let's see, what is the safest way to position this? I guess we'll do it this way. Is that really the safest way to... Okay. There's not really a good angle to do that on. You don't want to crunch the wires. You don't want to crunch the... Yeah. All right. Swapping the motors. Okay. Now I've done it again. I had the... It's here. I'm not insane, right? The black... Man. How can we see this? The black and the black, it's not easy to see, especially when it gets aligned that way. All right. Let's see about swapping these around. Okay. One and two. Okay. Okay, so we know we're putting these in back, but we're going to put them in backwards anyway, just to see whether there's something wrong with this. This one is the one we think is faulty. It's the one with the short lead, theoretically the left hand, or at least when installed correctly, the left hand Z motor. Okay, so at this point, is this going to stay for me? It's not. Okay. All right, so at this point, we're going to test having swapped the Z motors. The left-hand motor, the one with the short lead, is now positioned on the right. The right-hand motor, the typically right-hand motor, the one with the long lead, is now positioned on the left. Now I'm going to see whether or not the a problem follows the lead screw. Oh yeah, definitely. See, that's much easier. This is very, very tight. Yeah, it follows the lead screw. I mean, yeah, yeah. All right, just a sanity check. Let's put rods in to see how things go. Okay. Okay, the left-hand lead screw, that is with the right-hand motor, is relatively easily turned, and the right-hand lead screw is quite a bit more difficult to turn. Yeah. The problem is following the lead screw. That's aggravating, for that is not something I can swap out so easily. All right, let's remove our smooth rods. There we go. Now again, the smooth rod on the right removes much more easily than the smooth rod on the left. There still could be an alignment issue there, but there's definitely an issue that follows the lead screw. Yeah, see, look at this. I mean, I can easily turn the one on the left. Let's see. Hang on. Uh-oh, I've lost my camera mount. I'm going to have to fix that. But anyway, this, very easy. This, I mean, it can be done, but it takes significant force. I'm not aiming this correctly, am I? Okay. This, it can be done, but it requires significant force, whereas this moves smoothly. Right? No problem. This, it goes, but yeah. The other thing that I should probably do is reprint the left-hand motor holder and the left rod holder, just to be sure, just to eliminate the possibility of some kind of an alignment problem or part problem. Let's see, I'm not going to be able to do it that way, am I? Yeah, maybe. This is going to be sickening as I screw this thing back on here. So watch the other screen, or watch the other camera output. Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah, that's not optimal either. It shouldn't be bent up like that. Okay. I guess, I mean, there still seems to be some sort of alignment issue, but there is definitely an issue that follows the Z motor. And again, this is the left-hand Z motor now mounted on the right, the motor with the short lead. I keep saying that because I want to make sure that we're clear about what's what. Yeah, there's definitely an issue that follows the motor. There might be some sort of alignment issue too, but it's certainly the lesser of the two issues. Now, I've never powered on this motor. I mean, the electronics are still in the box. So, I don't know what to make of that, but This is depressing. Very depressing. Check the screw with a caliper to check rods. How would one, I'm not sure, I mean, what, X and Y dimensions? I mean, I'm not sure what you mean. What would I be testing? I mean, I've got calipers here. I'm not sure if I understand what you're proposing I measure. I mean, I would think it's going to be dimensionally accurate. We can try it. Oh, thickness. Right, okay, so you do want the X and Y dimensions of the rod. They're not going to be off. I mean, the only thing I can imagine that will be off is the threading. Right? Well, we'll find out. Okay. So, the known good rod, how would one test this? I guess you got to test it this way because you don't want to be testing within the threads. But then if you test this way, you don't want to be testing within the threads, but you want to be testing the full diameter. Seven 7.95, 7.98, 8.02. Yeah, okay, that's within the spec. Eight 8.04, 8.06, 8.08. I don't know. See, that's within the 7.96. Yeah, it's within the error range of the calipers in my fumbly hands. But, I mean, this did yield slightly an average of like 0.02 or 0.03 more, I guess, within that range of possible error. I don't know. I'm frustrated. So, yeah, I mean, I guess 0.02 or 0.03 millimeters might make that kind of a difference. I don't know. Let's see if the Prusa support mechanisms are back up and running. Oh, I closed that. Where is... Just take the nut off to try the... Oh, you mean just thread the nut on separately? Okay, sure. Which nut should we test? Now, we've swapped nuts, so the nut on that was originally on the left is now on the right. So let's try that nut first. I keep doing this, losing my hex key. Okay. This at an angle that's going to be more conducive to things. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of... Oh, well, it's spinning the motor. That's pretty tight. Let's see. Like that. I'm watching the wrong screen again. It's pretty tight towards the top. Oh, hang on. I can't be spinning the motor at the same time. All right. So that's relatively tight, or at least tighter than I would hope it would be, but it's only useful by comparison. Whereas this is quite a bit looser. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I never would have thought that the rods would be dimensionally off. I thought one was going to be bent. That's crazy. That's fucking amazing. I never would have guessed. Yeah, that's... Well, okay, so while we're testing this, let's just try the other nut just for sanity's sake here. And so that we don't lose things, we will reassemble as we go. Do not try to put a Delrin nut on a thing that you're holding in your hand. There we go. Where's the other hole on this thing? Right where I thought it was. Okay. Okay. Just a sanity check. This is the this nut is the known good nut that started on the right on the non-problematic Z lead. And it's definitely tight. I mean, it goes, but it's tight. And on the left, yeah, considerably easier. Okay, well, Mike and Zimmy, how's it going? So, we are just concluding our testing here. We've concluded experimentally that the left Z lead screw is dimensionally larger by 0.02 or 0.03 millimeters, which I would never have thought would make a difference, but seems to significantly, especially in combination with any sort of misalignment that might exist. But we've swapped the lead screws, or we've swapped the motors and lead screws, and seen that the problem follows the lead screw for the most part. All right, I'm sorry, I'm still dejected. I have my energy for this video has gone the way of the dodo. Yes. Oh, let's go see if Prusa support is working again. Because, let's see. If we go here, and then here, we get a general MySQL error. They're having a socket problem. This usually means the database server is just not running. If we reload, now we get a slightly friendlier error message. Now this was consistent with what we saw before the video. We had the unfriendly error message, and then they recognized they had a problem and threw up a friendly error message. So yeah, you know, so they maybe I assume they'll do something or tell me what I've done wrong. You know, maybe I've done something incredibly stupid. I think I've followed reasonable test procedures, but anyway, I guess we will wait until their support. Well, where did the camera fall to? Here we go. Okay, so what just happened is I bought this snazzy new, oh, you can't see it. We heard this crash because I bought this snazzy new webcam, which looks much like this one, which is mounted correctly. And then I bought this mount that's one of these sort of like octopus mounts with, not octopus mount, but it's got the the mechanism itself, this thing is, let's see. I can't really bend it to show you, but the point is this thing bends and is bendable. But it's very tough to bend, and it fell off the desk because I bent it in a way that it didn't like. So, anyway, what can we do to mount this in the meantime? Wasn't there a clip on here? Maybe not. Let's just do this. All right. Yeah, still not great. Come on, we can make the camera great again. All right, anyway, so that's where we're at with this thing. Well, that's cool. That's reassuring. I mean, I have no doubt that they'll find a solution. I'm just frustrated that I can't get a hold of them now to find a solution. Way out of focus. Really? It's autofocus, so I have no drivers or controls for this camera at all, so. Such are the evils of webcams. What I really need to do is go buy myself a decent actual camera and a Magewell capture card. Magewell makes some really awesome hardware in that regard. Much better than the, what was it, Linksys or whatever it was that was being discussed in the Country Club forum the other day. Yeah, again, there's nothing to allow me to set that, which is really frustrating. So here's the thing. At one point, I had Wirecast Pro 6. I skipped version 7, and I was given I won a copy of Wirecast Studio 8, which is the lower product. Now, lower meaning $500 instead of $1,000. In Wirecast Pro, you can go into the USB devices and select for each camera what the intake resolution is. In Wirecast Studio, the $500 product, it doesn't work. I was a very early user. Well, I don't know how early I was. I was experimenting with OBS in, it must have been 2015 or 16, and it was not up to snuff at that time. And I imagine it's come a long way. But this was the better, Wirecast was the better solution at that time. It seems like OBS has adopted many of the key features of Wirecast and the other more professional products, so I may have to switch back to it. But yes, it's frustrating that a $500 product, being the lower quality, lower class product, lacks key operational features that for another $500 I could get in the $1,000 product. But I wouldn't blame Wirecast for this. These are the cheapest webcams I could find on Amazon. I think I paid $25 a pop or something for them. And of course they come with no drivers for Mac, nothing that would allow me to go in and rearrange them in any useful way. Yeah, well, so that's the thing. In Wirecast, it looks fine. So I'm not sure that it's the camera. I think it might actually be something that Wirecast is doing. I did look at yesterday's video, and it did seem massively out of focus and low res. It's not focus; it's resolution. Massively low resolution. So I do think it's, I don't want to complain about Wirecast that much, but I've seen this problem from Wirecast in the past. So even though they're really cheap cameras, I'm inclined to believe that it's a Wirecast problem. Or misconfiguration, or I don't know what the hell I'm doing using it or something. Because in Wirecast Pro, there used to be a way to change the output resolution. I can change canvas size. It says it's outputting 1280 by 720. From Wirecast. And it might be. I don't know. Oh, what does YouTube think this is? Text and screen sharing look fine. Good point. So that would suggest that it's not Wirecast. Unless it's the way Wirecast does the intake from the cameras. But no, I mean, I would assume that it's the $25 webcams that are not doing a respectable job. Yeah. Are both of the images equally bad? I guess for comparison, let's look at the full screen me with one webcam versus the full screen desk. Now, here with the desk, I can see that that was out of focus, and now it's focusing on my hand quite reasonably. Now it's focusing on the desk quite reasonably for me. But if it's way out of focus as its output to YouTube, that's... Okay. It's got to be the way that Wirecast is doing the intake or some sort of driver thing. Yeah. Well, I should get in touch with the vendor and see if I can get him to explain what the hell I'm doing wrong. Because obviously it's going to be a thing that I did wrong. There is a new version of Wirecast out there now. A new version is available. It doesn't tell me what version. Okay. Wirecast 9 is available. Are you kidding me? $50% off for Wirecast 4 through 7 customers. I guess as a Wirecast 8 customer, I guess I get that upgrade. We'll see. Yeah, I was looking for that C920 for 49 bucks. I think somebody had said they saw that price on Amazon at one point, and I didn't see it there, so I just let it slide. Office Depot, huh? Okay. I will check it out. All right, so we think we have a lead screw problem, and when I can get hold of Prusa support, we will figure it out. Thanks for your help, guys, and yeah, see, I'm not paying $70 for yeah. I just don't care about video that much. You think I would, but no. Anyway, actually the most reasonable thing to test here with regard to the video would be to just set it up with OBS or use it directly. That's the other test, right? Because you can do direct streaming using, I guess it's WebRTC off of the YouTube site. Of course, WebRTC has got to be lower quality than RTMP. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the help with the analysis and test strategy. And I guess we'll go back and see if we can get this thing sorted out in the next few days. Thanks very much. And I will see you guys later. Ciao.